Welcome to Simple Choices, a show about families and nutrition and what's going on in our community. Today our guest is Beth Bruck-Upton, a registered dietitian with the Midwest Dairy Council, and today we're going to talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing with Fuel Up to Play 60 in our community.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about what Fuel Up to Play 60 is.
Sure, well, Fuel Up to Play 60 was created by the National Dairy Council and the National Football League in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Agriculture and here locally with Midwest Dairy Council, really to help encourage kids and empower kids at school to fuel up with nutrient-rich foods such as low-fat and fat-free dairy products, whole grains, fruits and vegetables, and lean protein, and then also to encourage them to get at least 60 minutes of physical activity every day to build a healthy lifestyle.
All right. So how does that work into the schools? How are they utilizing Fuel Up to Play 60?
Sure. Well, Fuel Up to Play 60 is an in-school wellness program. So we encourage schools across the country to get involved, to really empower these kids to implement wellness programs in the school environment to just make a better environment for everyone. Schools that get involved can actually, it's very easy, they can go to the website, they can enroll and get involved, but we encourage them to really let the students be leaders and help lead the program. So it's not like you and I coming in as adults and saying, kids, you know, here's what we need to do. We really want the students to be at the table to help make decisions about what they want their school wellness environment to look like.
Very good. So then how many schools are involved in Fuel Up to Play 60?
In the state of Nebraska, we have about 1,073 schools enrolled in the program, which is great. And across the country, there are over 70,000 schools enrolled, which is just an outstanding number, and we're so excited about that. But again, really the power of the program is the kids and what they bring to the table and how they can help guide choices and guide decisions in their own health and what they want to see happen in their school wellness environment.
What are some examples of activities that are going on here in Lincoln related to Fuel Up to Play 60?
Great activities going on in Lincoln. Lincoln has really embraced Fuel Up to Play 60 and has really done some outstanding things. With the Fuel Up to Play 60 program, we encourage schools to identify a healthy eating strategy that they implement in the school environment and also a physical activity strategy to implement in the school environment to make change. And so of the many choices that there are with Fuel Up to Play 60 to implement, schools here have done things such as taste testings where kids actually have had the opportunity to try new foods. So in many cases it's something they've never tried before, maybe never even had at home. So it's a whole new experience. Right. And kids actually get to vote on these items, and in that process, hopefully those items become a permanent part of either the school breakfast menu or the school lunch menu or even after school program so that the kids continually have access to that. So it's again where the kids have say in what it is that's coming to the table. And again, all these foods they're tasting are healthy, they're great. In some cases, schools have done new smoothies or they've done yogurt parfaits or just, great things that kids oftentimes aren't having at home. And on the physical activity side, schools here have done great things with walking clubs where kids are actually walking before school or during lunch or even sometimes during recess. A lot of them are using pedometers to track their activity, and they're actually setting destination points, so they're walking to every NFL club in the country. So they're setting destinations, and as they accomplish a goal, they celebrate that. So just fun things. They've also brought in yoga instructors and Zumba instructors and just different forms of physical activity that you don't usually see in physical education class. So the key is really to expose kids to something they enjoy, because we know, as registered dietitians, that when kids find something they like, they're more likely to stick with it and be lifelong exercisers or, lifelong participators in physical activity. So that's the goal.
Well, how have parents and teachers gotten involved with Fuel Up?
Really with Fuel Up to Play 60, in every school that we have seen have great success, it's really about having an adult champion in that school building. So we really count on teachers, really just a wellness champion, somebody who's very passionate about wellness and physical activity and nutrition, and they can kind of spread that excitement to the students. So that's been a very important role for teachers to embrace that, be excited about it too, because it's going to transfer into your students. As parents, we've seen many parents come to us and say, the things you're doing at school or these kids are learning at school, they're coming home and talking about with us. So it's amazing the education kids learn at school, therefore they go home and talk about it, and and those changes are often made at home as well, which is ultimately what we'd like to see, is a healthy environment across the board.
How do schools get involved in Fuel Up to Play 60, and what resources does it provide schools?
Sure. The Fuel to Play 60 program really is an online-based program in terms of all the resources that are out there. The website that's available is just fueluptoplay60.com, and from there, really depending on if you're a health professional or you're a parent or a teacher, whatever your expertise is, you can go to the website and really click on whatever it is you're looking for. There's resources there. If you're interested in learning more about the program, you can click there, find more. If you want your school to get involved in the program, you can literally sign them up right there on the website. Or you can even become a supporter of a school. So maybe your local school is involved and you just want to kind of observe what's happening. So you can become a supporter and watch the great activities happening at that school, and you can even get involved and maybe participate in some events that are happening at the school.
Yeah. To me, it feels like having the NFL tied to what's going on also gives it a cool factor.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yes. Fuel to Play 60 is also very much about rewards. And so when schools accomplish great things, and even as their just everyday involvement in the program, they earn points, or to have a score, if you will. And so when we look at schools to reward kind of at the end of the school year, we look at those who have had the greatest amount of involvement in the program, and we look at those numbers. And with that, many schools are rewarded with NFL player visits. NFL player actually comes to the school. Wow. It's usually some type of a pep rally or an assembly, and really just pumps the kids up and reminds them, reinforces those messages about nutrition and physical activity and how important it is for a healthy lifestyle. And so that's really been the excitement that the NFL can bring, and just tons of great things. We actually have a football up here that's autographed. Many of these players come, they sign a lot of great stuff, and then we can give those away as prizes as well, to kids who are doing some great things. So
that's a pretty big deal for kids if they get something, especially if it's been a past Husker that's been involved and that's now at the NFL level.
Right. Since we don't have our own NFL team here in Nebraska, we try to definitely bring back former Huskers who have gone on to play in the NFL to have that tie back here to Nebraska. So that's fun.
Talk to me about how Fuel Up to Play 60 is funded.
Yes, Fuel to Play 60 is actually funded by dairy farmers across the country. They have committed over $50 million over a 5-year period of time to this program because they're that passionate about child health and wellness. So it's a huge commitment on their part. And you'll see at many of the events that we have, assemblies and some of these NFL player visits, many times there's a dairy farmer present because they also want to be involved. And we encourage them to speak, at these assemblies, to talk to kids about their dairy farm and actually how milk comes from the farm to the table, because oftentimes, we forget that link, that it's not just from a grocery store.
Right.
So it's a great way to connect kids to local agriculture as well and have that presence there of dairy farmers.
That's great. When we come right back, we'll be looking at a little bit more of the Fuel Up side of Fuel Up to Play 60.
Hi, my name is Luke Bigelow, and I am age 12, and I love sports. I'd say my favorite sport is probably basketball, to both watch and play, because you really have to move on the court. You can't just sit around and wait for the ball to come to you. You have to go to the ball. Then you're really getting your body active and getting your heart rate up and everything like that. I run a lot, so some weekends or even after school, we'll come out to Holmes Lake, and me and my mom and run around the lake a couple times. So maybe we've accumulated 6 miles, and we'll go home, or we have a treadmill in our basement, and I'll sometimes just run on that. I think I started racing about when I was about 10. Started out with bike races, little short sprints. Then I started doing running races and triathlons too. I competed in a high-V triathlon last year and actually went to nationals. This year competed in the half marathon. I think that was a big accomplishment for me. I mean, it just really makes you feel great when you really go out and set a goal for yourself. Say, today I'm gonna run 7 miles. So what I usually do is I just go out there and run 7 miles, and when I come in, I feel like I've done what I needed to do that day. It really makes you feel great. I mean, the outdoors is the real place to be, video games can simulate stuff all they want, but really out here, there's no equal. And those are okay sometimes, like on a really, really rainy day when you can't do hardly anything, you can maybe do it for 30 minutes, but then I'd just hop on the treadmill or do push-ups down on the carpet or something, you know. My big goal for right now is just when I'm 14, I hope that when I'm 14 I can run the full Lincoln Marathon. And me and my dad oftentimes go out to Platte River State Park and we ride our bikes around there. And he's done some big races like 100, 200, 300 milers. And I just kind of want to work towards that sometime, just to be able to do that with him sometime. I think that would be really, really cool. You can't force a kid to go out and do something he doesn't want to do, but you can like get them to go outside and do something they would want to do, even if it's something small, just like watch birds. Well, at least it's something different than playing video games, you know. You gotta really make them feel like the outdoors is their new home. Just get them active. I like the saying from, I think it's Cool Hand Luke, dying ain't much of a living, boy. You know, there's no match for this great place, you know, that nature has made for us.
All right, guys, we gotta be smarter about what we bite on, okay? I want everyone to go outside. We're gonna run Red Rover on 3.
What about you, Tony?
I'm gonna run around in circles, flat my arms, and make engine noises like this.
When it comes to playing, big kids are the pros.
We're eating right, too. We fuel up to play 60.
If your school doesn't have a program, be a leader. Start one.
Click today and join the movement.
Welcome back to Simple Choices. Today we're talking with Beth Bruck-Upton from Midwest Dairy Council, a registered dietitian. And for this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about what the Fuel Up side has to offer. So talk a little bit about what we're doing as dietitians to help kids to fuel up.
Sure. Well, as we mentioned before, with Fuel Up to Play 60, we really encourage kids to fuel up with nutrient-rich foods. So low-fat, fat-free dairy products, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and then lean sources of protein. We have a lot of great examples of those up here. So with Fuel Up to Play 60, again, it's really about just offering kids, making sure that they have access to these foods and, you know, offering them new things that maybe they haven't had before in the school environment. Okay. And again, translating that back to home, so it's something that hopefully becomes a permanent part of the choices that they have.
Right. We know kids do a lot of suggesting to us as parents.
Yes.
About what they like to have. So if they try things that they maybe haven't seen at home,
right,
that kind of maybe can move them in that direction.
Exactly. Too. And the Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends that everyone ages 9 and older get at least 3 servings a day of dairy foods. So, you know, one of the things that we know from research is that as Americans, we're not accomplishing that. We're not getting our 3 a day. So there's really some easy strategies that we can all do to make sure we get 3 servings every day. And that can be as simple, if you look at breakfast, you know, whether that's having milk in your cereal and then making sure we drink that, you know, milk afterwards, or having yogurt with breakfast, or even having some cheese on a breakfast sandwich, or sprinkling a little bit of cheese in an omelet. You know, very simple things that we can do to work in a dairy serving with breakfast and get that protein, which is going to help us throughout the day. At lunch, you know, one of my biggest things is to swap the pop or swap the soda and bring milk back to the table. You know, there's so many beverages that have taken the place of milk on the dinner table. So, you know, wherever you are, just to kind of make that conscious choice, you know, can you make this choice of choosing a dairy beverage over, you know, soda or something that's not so nutritious? At dinner time, it's the same thing. There's a wealth of opportunities of things we can do to work in dairy, but again, bringing milk to the table, sprinkling cheese even on vegetables. You know, many times parents have challenges getting kids to eat vegetables, but adding cheese to it is a great way to add nutrition and also to get kids to eat those vegetables. So it's really a great combination of pairing the two. Kids get the calcium, the nutrients that they need, and they're also getting the benefits from the vegetables.
Yeah. I was going to have you talk a little bit about what, you know, why is milk or milk products or milk, you know, alternatives, why are they so important to kids in health?
You know, one of the things that we've learned, again, from the Dietary Guidelines for Americans is that there's 3 nutrients really that we don't get enough of, and that includes calcium, potassium, and vitamin D. And milk is actually a great source of all of those. And if you look at kids, especially during the adolescent years, it's such a critical time for bone growth and development. So when you look at the school environment, it's so critical that we make sure we encourage kids to drink their milk at lunch and, you know, get those nutrients that they need for good health. And I know in many cases, sometimes there's challenges. Kids might be lactose intolerant, or they might have something that's, limiting those choices. So the good news is, if you look at the dairy case today, there are so many options available for families to choose from, whatever you're looking for, a lactose-free product, or if you're not a huge fan of white milk, there's tons of different flavored milk options out there as well. So there's really something for everyone. And in the school environment too, they're offering lactose-free milk for those individuals who might need that too.
Great. So there are alternatives available in the schools. Parents don't have to bring their own.
Exactly.
They have them available. So if your kid has tummy trouble,
right,
tolerating
yes.
a little bit of milk, don't just start having them bring a pop to school.
Right.
They can find alternatives. They just need to ask, really.
Exactly. And I think the more important thing for people to know too is that all milk provides 9 essential nutrients, whether you're choosing skim milk or skim flavored milk, lactose-free milk, 2%, 1%, whatever it is.
Great.
There's going to be differences in the fat content of those and calories, but in terms of the 9 nutrients, they're packaged in every single carton of milk.
So you're not shortchanged no matter which version you're choosing that way.
Yes.
Okay. Talk a little bit about lactose-free products. What do they do, and why does that work for some people and not for others?
Sure. A lactose-free product is just milk, but the lactose has already been broken down. So in the case of lactose intolerance, that's basically the individuals don't have the enzyme to break down the lactose, which is a naturally occurring sugar that's found in dairy foods. Right. So with lactose-free products, that lactose has already been broken down for them, so their body doesn't have to do the work. And again, they're still benefiting from all the nutrients that's in there. And if you look at milk too, if we look at economics, I know a lot of folks right now are trying to, cut back a little bit or managing their budget a little bit more. And a glass of milk, 8 ounces, is going to provide those 9 essential nutrients for about 25 cents. Wow. So it's really difficult to find another nutrient package like that at that price, to get all the benefits that we get in a glass of milk.
Well, I think about my kids have breakfast at school quite often, and then they eat lunch at school. So really 2/3 of their meals are at school. So if they're choosing milk when they're there, that gets them 2/3 of the way to the goal, and maybe all the way there to the 3 servings, depending on what they're choosing.
Definitely, yes. And encouraging them, to choose that at school and not being concerned. I know flavored milk, in many cases sometimes is a concern for parents, but I always tell parents, the research that's out there right now shows that children who drink milk, whether it's white milk or flavored milk, are as lean or leaner than kids who don't drink milk at all. So the answer I always have for parents is the best milk for your child is the milk that your child will drink. So as a parent and as a registered dietitian, for me, there's things I do every day to make my foods taste a little bit better, to be more palatable, and that's exactly what we do with flavored milk. I like to have oatmeal in the morning, so I sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar on it, or take a nutrient-rich lettuce salad and I add salad dressing to it. There's things we do all the time, which is exactly what flavored milk is. We're making it palatable so kids like it. They get those critical nutrients that they need during those important years of growth and development.
Well, and a great conversation that I think parents can have, and I know that we have at our house, is, if chocolate milk is available every day, how many days do you really need to choose it? Because if you have kids that really drink milk just fine, you can kind of help direct them in how often that they're really choosing it. Just because it's there doesn't mean that has to be their choice every time.
Exactly, and that's just that you just said the word is choice. The choice is available, but it's your choice on whether you choose it or not. So
talk a little bit about, I know with chocolate milk being kind of a hot button issue, a little bit about how that fits into sports recovery and what you're seeing in that.
Sure. Well, the research around chocolate milk, and actually just milk as a refuel or recovery beverage, has really been done so far on adults. So we know that there's many benefits there, again, from the research. We know that in many cases for kids, the research probably translates over, but we can't say positively because the research hasn't been done on that population. Okay. But with the research that has been done, milk, whether it's white milk or flavored milk, has a nutrient profile of which it's a great source of carbohydrate, it's a great source of protein, and also electrolytes. And so when you exercise, we sweat, we lose water, all these things happen. So the protein in milk is really just a great way to prevent muscle deterioration or breakdown. Okay. The carbohydrates in milk are going to replace the energy that you lost, and then milk is really 90% water, so it's a great way just to rehydrate, and then you'll get those electrolytes as well. So if you look at it, it's just a great beverage to choose. In place of many of the other things out there. It's very economical in terms of price, and again, it's just another way to get those 3 servings of dairy that we need every day.
Well, I think it's just like anything, anything, if you come home and you drink a half gallon of it, then you're not getting really the benefit like you need it. It's about pouring the right size of your glass too.
Yes, it's all about serving size, absolutely.
I've seen many of those things.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about the other foods that are on the table, the whole grains and the fruits and vegetables as well.
Again, we just promote a healthy diet in general. So whole grains, we're really encouraging kids to choose more whole grains, at least half of their food's coming from whole grains, and not just kids, but everyone. So when you're in the grocery store, instead of choosing, white bread or whatever you're used to, look for something that has the 100% whole grain, or at least has whole grain as an ingredient on the label. Okay. When you look for fruits and vegetables, brightly colored, and I always tell parents too, it doesn't matter if it's fresh, frozen, or canned, any vegetable you can get, that's great. We definitely need to choose more of those things. And then for, like we mentioned before, for low-fat and fat-free dairy foods, there's tons of new options out there that make great snacks. One of the things that I love to do with my kids is make, especially during the summer months, we've been doing a lot of smoothies where we actually freeze them in their own yogurt pops. Kids love those. Cheese sticks make great snacks. Yogurt parfaits are great snacks.
So blending of the two worlds can be a really helpful thing too that way.
Yes.
Sometimes you can sneak them in under the wire that way.
Yep, exactly. And let kids be a part of it, because then they're more likely to try it and enjoy it too.
But I think from the Fuel Up standpoint too, one thing that I would like to see parents do more of is really look at what the school menu offers, because that can help them talk about choices with the kids too.
Definitely, yes. Knowing what's on the menu helps to guide the choices for what they can look for.
Right. So anything you'd like to share specifically related to the Fuel Up piece of Fuel Up to Play 60?
Just again, making sure that we're all eating a balanced diet every day, foods from every food group, and trying to follow the recommendations from the Dietary Guidelines for Americans that exist. And again, there's great resources out there too, or recipe ideas on our website, which is www.midwestdairy.com. You'll find a wealth of recipes to choose from. I know as a mom, I get tired of making the same things all the time, so it's always nice to have a fresh set of recipes to choose from.
That's right.
So it's a great resource.
Great. Well, thank you to you, Beth, and to the Midwest Dairy Council for all the great tools that they've been bringing to schools and to families related to Fuel Up to Play 60 in our community.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Simple Choices.
Volunteer Partners is the volunteer center in the Lincoln community. We connect volunteers to nonprofit agencies and vice versa. Our youth group, our youth volunteers, we call them LYV, L-Y-V, for Lincoln Youth Volunteers. They're putting on a summer day camp with a focus on health and nutrition for kids that come from low-income families or homeless to near homeless families, and ages 6 to 11.
We are volunteers who are basically in high school and a few in college, and
we're helping underprivileged children kind of get a camp experience, because most of the time they probably haven't gotten that summer camp time that most children get when they're younger. What we're trying to do is promote health as well as give them a fun experience. So we have these 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 go charts to record progress in terms of like eating lots of fruits and vegetables and drinking lots of water and getting lots of exercise.
We're trying to just kind of instill some sort of an awareness on healthy eating as well as like physical activity. A big portion of our day is the kids running around.
We did a lot of playing with kids, piggyback rides, taking them to the park, breakfast, lunch, snacks.
We made a fruit salad.
Mm-hmm. We gave them some strawberries. They were able to, taught them how to cut the strawberries up, and we added them into a big bowl.
Yeah.
And then we spread it out so you guys could have some fruit. Did you like the fruit salad we made?
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
See, this is an apple. No. The reason I like about day camp is because we always get to get snacks at the end of the day, and we get piggyback rides.
fruit salad, playing basketball, fruit salad.
It was just a good experience. Love working with kids. It's pretty fun. Stickers on my face. Most of my shoes are painted, glow paint, glitter. My hat as well. Just overall fun experience.
The effect that you have on the kids, like seeing the smiles that you can possibly put on their face, is like something that is a feeling that you get that you wouldn't get from anything else. And like that in itself makes all the work worth it.
You get to know all the kids by names, and you just have a great time with them. And so then you wait until next year so you can go play with them again.
I think for me personally, the most fun thing I've done all this week is giving her piggyback rides pretty much everywhere.
We're hoping that the kids have a good memory of the end of the summer, of a good camp experience, and also more of motivation for having a healthy lifestyle.
You always have to exercise. You have to eat broccoli. You have to eat all the healthy things. Eating good is healthy.
If the kids want to eat healthy, then I think that inspires the parents of the children to also try to work out more and be healthy so they can be a big role model to their children.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Simple Choices. Come back and see us next time and see more of what we have to offer for families in our community. Thank you.